Right, to explore the state of South Africa's intelligence apparatus and criminality within law enforcement, we're now joined by Professor Nirmala Gopal of the Department of Criminology and Forensic Studies at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Professor, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, crime stats not sharing a message of hope on one end, but what we did learn this evening is that 3 suspects have been shot and killed by police in Mthatha in the Eastern Cape, and it's being suggested and alleged that they're part of a ring of extortionists demanding a protection fee from local residents. What are your thoughts?
Good evening, Impo, and good evening to your viewers. For me, there's an irony in that we talk about stats increasing, police stats, especially in violent crimes, increasing, and then we have 3 shootouts or killings. So that's an irony for me. But however, having said that, I think the worry for me and for many South Africans is the fact that what do we want to achieve through this kind of violent behavior? Whilst we might have some individuals who come from a particular school of thought that believe if we attack or target criminals violently, then it would reduce crime. But I think empirical evidence and research clearly indicates that there's no correlation that exists between the two. If anything, the person on the street or the lay person might believe that it's okay, it's normal for us to behave violently. And I think for me, from where I come from, it means that we could increase the levels of crime and violence in the country with this kind of behavior.
This week, Parliament got a sense of just how severe extortion rackets and protection syndicates are in South Africa. I mean, we're talking even about a 64-year-old Kraaifontein grandmother who sold food on the side of the road not being spared. You speak about not looking at violence as the solution in bringing this matter to book. What kind of approach would you say is needed?
So my initial response to that is, I mean, why have we as a country allowed extortionists to flourish in the way that they have? Obviously, it's not something new. It's happened over a period of time, but it somehow seems to have gained momentum or publicity or visibility at this point in time. So somewhere, somehow, we were not doing our work diligently, I would think. The fact that you mentioned a 64-year-old grandmother, I think that's, for me, that is just not just sad, but it shows us the moral decay in our country. But in addition to that, I think what becomes very critical as a conversation in terms of the criminology crime discourse is what is causing our crime levels to escalate or reach the kinds of levels that they are. And one notable conclusion is the fact that we have a high unemployment rate in our country. I've said this several times previously, and I will continue to say this. Unless we start to generate employment opportunities for most people who sit around idle, we will fail to reduce crime in South Africa.
Yeah. As you speak about that, in his short address, Police Minister Senzo Mchunu said that crime intelligence operations needed to be stepped out and that operational partnerships and agreements were being signed. But he was rather low on detail as to how these extortionists would be brought to book. You speak about the reality on the ground, unemployment being a massive reality gripping South Africans. But on the other end, how will the extortionists be brought to book if we look at a multifaceted approach?
So I think one of the important indicators is how well is our crime intelligence unit resourced, both in terms of human resource, but also for example, technological resource. And even when we receive that kind of information, are we ensuring that we analyze the information and and the outcome of that information is a product that allows us to use that product to go back and proactively find out where are the crime hotspots, for example. When I hear about these extortionists who were killed in Umtata, for example, if we had adequate and functional crime intelligence, should they not have... Am I still audible?
Yes, yes.
So, yes, so just to quickly reflect, if our crime intelligence was as functional, competent and efficient as it is, should they not have had the idea that this kind of crime or this kind of extortion was going to happen and stop it even before we get to the level of violent behavior?
Yeah.
Whether it's from the police or the extortionists. That's what intelligence-led policing is meant to do for us. So we need to find out what are the gaps in our current intelligence-led policing spaces.
Yeah. Several lawmakers and even community members have pointed fingers at the SAPS, not just in terms of incapacity, but with members potentially actively colluding with extortionists, which raises suspicions. Are police collaborating? And that in itself deepening the level of distrust of police and community members.
No, absolutely. Whenever there is this kind of collusion, the organic or the natural outcome is the increased level of distrust and mistrust between communities and SAPs or policing in any space. And remember that your community is part of your intelligence-led policing. They are usually one of the most important and critical sources of information because they live in the community. Criminals live within communities as well. And once we start to generate this kind of mistrust, the quality of the intelligence is bound to suffer. The other point that I want to add is that it's probable that we have a segment or we have a percentage of police people who are colluding and who are corrupt. And unfortunately, you need just one rotten apple to give a bad image to the rest of the police people who work hard, who are ethical, who are professional, etc. But definitely, when we have corrupt police, the outcome of that is manipulation of your information, covering up, suppressing intelligence that's already been received, etc. And then that's going to be a huge catastrophe for policing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. We're going to have to leave it there, but thank you for your input this evening. Speaking there to Professor Nirmala Gopal of the Department of Criminology and Forensic Studies at the University of KwaZulu-Natal.